gotta do this on vacation. What's up with that?
Coming to you live from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's the Junior Kekuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kekuewa Jr.
Crap, I'm on vacation. What the hell?
Join Junior along with the Wayne Bohe Band as he makes any gang from Hawaii.
Damn straight, hurry up.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kekuewa Jr.
Hi, you, Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii. Thank you very much. Hawaii. Gee whiz, I'm on vacation for crying out loud. Hey, how's it? I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. I'm officially on vacation, actually. But they said, so Jay told me, he goes, Unks, he calls me Unks, right? You know, he goes, Unks, you gotta do something, cause last week, we never do them, cause Thanksgiving. I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm on vacation, actually, right? But we wanted to, just drop in. Brazil is our newest country, by the way. We got to start with the attitude of gratitude. So thank you very much to Brazil, our brand new country. That's the only one that's new. Everybody's still here. So we got, I think that's 55 countries now. 55 countries and 34 states, something like that. Yeah. So it's not moving across the United States as much as it's moving across the world. So thank you very much, whoever. Oh, also, we wanted to mention Rhode Island. Okay, now Rhode Island is actually picking up in numbers. And the last time we reported Wisconsin, right? So Wisconsin was like up there, right? And they're still up there. But Rhode Island is coming up from behind. Like, this is like almost watching one of them horse races. You know what I'm saying? With the states, right? Because we don't have like all 50 states or anything like that. It's more countries now than states, right? But Rhode Island used to be like, I don't know, they were like 3% or something like that, right? Rhode Island. So thank you, all you guys in Rhode Island. Thank you very much. Rhode Island has moved up, like they're number 6 now, something like that, right? The number 1 state is Wisconsin, then California, then Texas, then Hawaii. And then when you go down the list, I didn't memorize the list, but yeah, they're number 6, Rhode Island. That's the small little state. It's kind of like Hawaii, right? Small state. I think they're bigger than Hawaii. But they're small compared to, Texas, right? Texas is the big boy in the house. Yeah. And also I want to say how's it to my friends in San Antonio, because I'm on vacation, and I just want to say, hey, Marcus, how's it? And aloha from Hawaii and Chico, you guys over there in San Antonio. So thank you for listening to the podcast. And on today's podcast, okay, we're going to talk about free will and following your road. Okay? Because, sometimes, right? When you follow your road, okay, there's this song in Hawaii that was recorded by a group named Sea-Wind when I was much younger. I think I was probably in my teens when this thing came out, or early 20s. I don't know. I think I was in my teens though. And this song is called Follow Your Road. So check it out. Go on YouTube and pull it up. It's a really nice song. And part of the lyrics of the song is, you got to follow your road or you'll never know, right? So if you don't follow your road, okay, now, my road was, there was a plan for my road. Okay, my mom and dad had a plan for my road. Okay, this boy we're gonna educate this boy. We're gonna do this with this boy. And then my mom went to an astrologer. This was way back when I was in high school, and I was messing up because they did not know that I had ADHD. Okay. Actually, I have both types. And if you go back on the podcast and you check out my story, right, we had to tell the story. And a lot of people, right, they know that, okay, something's different about Junior. What is it? What the hell is it? He does all this stuff, but then, when it comes to certain things, he's like, he's not like us. He's different. Yeah, I'm different. And I wouldn't really, I would not trade it for the world. Because I see some pretty boring individuals, and I'm like, these poor guys, And I did not know this. This is what I found out. And I found this out, as a matter of fact, I only found this out maybe in the last 5 years, I think, 5 or 6 years, that the majority of the people on the planet are not creative. I thought everybody, had an imagination and everybody's creative. And that's actually not the case. So if you are a creative type, and if you are creative, then just know that you're not among the majority, you're among the minority. Okay, so there was this plan for me in my life, right? So when my mom went to this astrologer, now he was big time in Hawaii. You guys outside of Hawaii would not know him, so I'm not even going to mention his name. He's gone like many years already, but he was very popular back in the day. And he told my mom, well, he'd be a good attorney or a policeman, I guess, because I'm a Libra or something. I don't know. So I don't know. I don't, like dive into astrology. I don't believe in astrology. I believe in God. And I know that God created everything, right? So I know astrology is a thing, and I know it has, something to do with something, right? It's not like they just made it up. So anyway, right? He does that to me. So my mom automatic, she goes, well, yeah, I know, right? Mothers, right? Okay. We don't want him being a policeman because he'll get shot. that kind, right? Because you want to protect your kid, right? So she goes, no, attorney. Okay. Plus, if you're being a policeman, right? And God bless policemen. I love them. If you go on my Facebook, if you guys like go, just Google me, search me, right? Or search me on Facebook. If you go on my Facebook account, there's tons and tons of police officers from HPD, Honolulu Police Department. There's tons of them. The one day I had to, I years ago, I don't know, I made a comment or something, and this wasn't on, I didn't even have a podcast, but I made a comment on social media. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, let me just research how many police officers I know, just acquaintances, right? They're not friends. They're just, guys that happen to be police officers. The number was astounding. Like all these police officers, had been following me, on my account, right? And so there's a lot of them there, and I have a high regard, for police officers. When I saw the defund the police thing, that thing that happened during the pandemic, I was like, no, I'm not for that at all. So, but anyway, right? Like there's a lot of them. And, so that's, I was, I guess astrologically, would fit in that category, right? And I used to watch a lot of police shows when I was a kid or whatever. It just had to do with entertainment, not really astrology, right? That kind of thing. But my mom kept pushing the attorney thing, attorney, So finally, and this is the law of attraction, okay? So the law of attraction is you attract, who you are. You don't attract everything you want, although you can manifest things if you apply certain steps. Visualization, we talk about that, right? Talk about writing your goals down, right? Taking baby steps towards your goals, okay? And speaking them out loud. That's important. There's another expression called speak the dream, right? So you have to speak your dream. Okay, now vibration is real, right? We're vibratory beings. And you have to maintain a certain vibration, for the things that you want, right? You can't, let's say, have a lower vibration for a higher vibrational thing that you want. You have to be actually on that vibration, right? So anyway, if you put all of that on the side, so I was, being talked to like here and there, right? If you did this or did that, or you scored high on this test or whatever. Meanwhile, okay, I was totally against, what I saw going on in schools, right? First of all, right, these guys are taking tests, okay? So everybody knew, like, what level, like, other people were, that kind of thing, right? Okay, this one's smart. Now, that one, well, he needs some work, and he doesn't know his history, but this other one is good in science, whatever, right? It was called an SAT, right? So every year they had SAT. They would test us every year. Well, I'm very proud to say that from the time SATs appeared in my life, I think it was second grade, first grade, something like that, right? I never ever took a serious SAT test in my life until I had to get into college. And that was funny because when I wanted to get into college, right? So I had to request my SAT scores, okay? And this is crazy. And my SAT scores that I had to request, Okay, this is a true story. I mean, man, I had to request these. Okay, and so a Calabash auntie of mine was working at the high school that I graduated from. In Hawaii, we say Calabash. Okay, so the majority of my listeners are outside Hawaii. So Calabash is like a bowl, a wooden bowl. And when they say Calabash, that means like you're not real family, but you're like family. Like you're friends of the family, like friends of family. You know, we become family. And if you saw the movie, what's that movie, Moana, right? You know, Ohana means family. Okay, so she was Ohana to us in that way, not by blood, just by like good friends kind. And so my mom had to like call her to get my transcripts. And okay, according to my transcripts, I did not have a brain. Okay, that was brainless. I didn't have, and so she tells my mom, right? She goes, I don't think you want to receive his scores. I don't think you want to submit his scores. Okay, because on paper, right? On paper, it's like, well, he doesn't know anything. Like from first grade, like through high school, this kid knows nothing, right? Okay. And so, you know, but the caveat to this whole thing, right, is it's always been my contention, okay, that I am nobody's business. It's nobody's business what I know. It's nobody's business what I do. All right. You know, as long as I'm not breaking laws and doing, that kind of stuff, right? It's none of anybody's business. Okay. And, so anyway, I take the college SAT. Of course, I passed. I thought, okay, they put me in, and that was, that lasted until I got a job offer, and then I quit. I dropped out of college. And when I did that, my uncle, one of my uncles was a Vietnam vet and actually saw what America was doing overseas and all that kind of stuff. And he goes, bro, that's the best thing you ever did, was drop out of college, right? So anyway, so my uncle always backed me up with these things. And somehow, like, I don't know, maybe it was just instinctive, maybe it was whatever's, but my uncle from 13, and we discussed this before, so I'm just going to touch on it, but from 13 on, right, he was like telling me, no, this works like this. And the Vietnam War was about that was not about anything other than drugs, and he would show me, right? Well, later on, things were declassified, and we found out, the CIA was running DC-3s full of drugs out of Vietnam. And it had to do with poppy fields. It had to do with all kinds of, right? It was not, what the media said it was, right? And then there came a point, right, where I told my uncle, and this was like, he's had a series of strokes and can't talk anymore, okay? But before that, like right before that period where he couldn't communicate anymore, I told him, I said, and this was probably, we're talking 2018, probably 2018. And I said, Uncle, all this stuff that you taught me over the years, like, I think it's just paranoia. I really do think this is just, we were sitting down having a glass of wine, right? And I told my uncle, I said, I just really, this is nonsense. Like, none of this stuff really is. This is just paranoia. This is stuff that people pass around just to be interesting and whatever, make money on this stuff. And it does nothing. And he told me, no. He goes, this is going to happen in your lifetime. You watch. And I was like, all right, okay. Because, I don't talk back to my uncle. I did. There were times that I did. But my uncle is my uncle, and we have, what we call respect in our Ohana system here in Hawaii, right? So I'm like, okay, all right. And and boom, in 2020, it all went down. And I'm like, what? Like everything he was teaching me. Okay, and I'm talking about the Trilateral Commission. I'm talking about the CFR. I'm talking about all these things that are all these government things, and now they're all global, right? They're all corporates, the corporate America, everything, corporate, the billionaires doing what they're doing, making money off of, certain things, right? That everybody's they tried to make mandatory anyway. And, but anyway, so all this stuff started to go down, right? But before that, and even during that time when I was 13, 14, 15, right? I was being talked to about law, being an attorney, doing all this stuff. The reason why I didn't think it was for me, and it wasn't because, I was fascinated with entertainment, although I really liked it. The thing that really was the thing for me, the dissuasion part, was I didn't want to end up reading and writing my whole life. Because attorneys have to read a lot, right? They have to write a lot. They have to type a lot. They have to do all that stuff, right? And then now in my life, after my uncle steered me towards business, I read a lot. I write a lot. I'm doing, I'm like, well, maybe I should have gone that route, right? But you have to follow your road. You gotta follow your road, Hawaiians, okay? Now, all you people outside of Hawaii, okay, you guys are honorary Hawaiians when you're listening to the show. But yeah, you gotta follow your road. Follow your heart, what your heart tells you to do, right? And my heart told me, I want to sing. My heart told me, man, these guys are standing on stages, right? And they're singing. And girls are looking at them like this. Okay, you can't see me, but I'm tilting my head, okay? And I mean, but chicks are just wow, they were screaming for Frank Sinatra when he was young, when he was in his 20s, right? Because I saw the old clips, right? And then, of course, when I came along, by the time I came along, Frank Sinatra was in his, I don't know, late 40s, 50s, early 50s maybe. And so I'm watching, those guys then. But when I look back at the old reels and stuff, right? Because, we used to see those things. They used to pop up on television every once in a while in a special or whatever. We didn't have YouTube, right? But when I used to see that stuff, I was like, wow, I got inspired, right? Because I'm going, wow, if I can get a bunch of chicks to sit down and do that, right? And then, okay, I'll go take you guys to the left real quick. Then there was this one show that we did. And my producer and I still talk about it. Well, my former producer, because I'm retired now, right? But we still talk about it. There was this girl, and she was a dime. She was a dime and a half. And she was sitting on this chair, backwards, okay? For some reason. I think because she was drunk. I think she was. I mean, she was up there. She had some major altitude, Hawaiians, okay? And she was sitting backwards on this chair. And she was watching me sing, right? And of course, I'm eating this crap up, right? So I sing directly to her. And I'm singing directly to her, and pretty soon, the chair starts tilting, okay? And then she falls flat on her face in front of the stage. Now, this is maybe, I don't know, I'm not good with distances, but I would say about 10 or maybe 11 feet from the stage. Falls flat on her face. Now, I'm doing a show, so I can't stop, right? And I felt bad. I mean, everybody got up and, people got up and ran over and helped her. But she fell flat on her face because there wasn't even time for her to block with her hands or anything, because the chair just went right down. And I'm not laughing because of that, but the whole scene and the whole, the show must go on kind of thing. And I don't care what happens. I don't care if a bomb goes off down the hall. If you're getting paid to do a show, the show gotta go. I mean, the show must go on. You gotta do what you gotta do. Anyway, but that's a side thing, okay? But that's the stuff that I was, not the chair part, not the falling down part, but the enamored part, okay? That's the kind of stuff that when I saw when I was a kid and the chicks are like that, I didn't believe or couldn't believe that would ever happen to me, right? But these things happen all the time. I mean, bro, I can't even tell you how many times we did shows, okay? And the husbands and wives are sitting there, okay? And I'm not going to mention any ethnicities, but in Hawaii, there's this certain ethnicity that these girls will, they will flirt with you with their husbands right next to them. I mean, oh, man. And they would just flirt with me. I would be singing. They would flirt with me, and I would look, and they are just at an angle from their husband. Just at an angle, so he cannot see, right? And they're flirting with me. And I'm getting these choosing signals, and I'm like, whoa, so this this happened a lot. It happened a lot. There was one show we did. Okay, we're still on that left turn. Okay, there's this one show that we did, and I hired this sound guy, and he did a few shows with us, and he was into bodybuilding, and he was cut. He was a good looking guy, and younger. He was younger than me. Much younger, right? Now, these girls, these ladies that were flirting with me while I was singing, okay, I do 1 hour, right? And then, there's the MC part of the show and whatever. During that part of the show, when I had to go MC and stuff, okay, the flirting part was over, all of that, right? The music was done. And now I'm MCing and stuff. Now they're flirting with this guy, okay? They follow this guy all the way now these girls are thirsty, okay? Now, and these girls are like in their mid to late 30s, and they are thirsty, and they follow my sound guy, right? Because he's in a truck, and he put everything in the truck, okay? And he goes down towards the freeway because we were up in this mountain area in a rec center. And he goes to the freeway. They follow him to where it's leading down to the freeway. And he has to stop at a red light. They get out and throw their number in his truck. Okay? I mean, this stuff happened every weekend with us. Like, stuff like this. Okay, now let's come back from the left side. Okay? But this is what I saw on television. And this is what I go, yeah, I want to do that. Right? And then I saw, things like ventriloquism. And then I saw, other talents, right? I saw juggling. I saw all this kind of stuff. I tried to juggle. I was not coordinated at all. Couldn't juggle, could play the guitar, could not juggle. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that. And I'm smart enough to know what I can do and what's possible, right? And what's not going to pan out. And so then, I met this guy who actually came to our high school that was a ventriloquist, and he was actually on a local TV show. And just so happened, God just kind of brings things together. And I told you guys, when you have a goal, right? And I started thinking about ventriloquism back watching, who's that? Charlie McCarthy, right? And Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. And I used to watch old reels of them on TV. They were gone before, they were gone before I was, watching them on TV. He was retired already. He was very old. But I saw clips, right? And I go, wow, that's cool. I want to do that. Because people would just be glued to the guy, and then it happened to me, right? So anyway, in my high school years, this guy comes to my high school. He's a ventriloquist. We end up in a hotel room, okay? And we're having a couple, right? And I'm telling him, come on, man, level with me. Show me how to do this thing. I need to learn how to do this. And he goes, no, man, you gotta learn how to throw your voice. I'm like, no, that does not make sense, right? And I pressured him and pressured and pressured. And finally he goes, all right, I'll tell you. And then he proceeded to tell me and showed me the secrets. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So what do? I practice, right? Now, I didn't have a dummy. So I used to use my hand in my bedroom at night, just, fantasizing that, okay, one day I'm going to do this stuff, right? The odds of me doing that would be, I don't know, like 1,000,000 to 1. It was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. But I kept practicing. I knew the basics, right? The basic outline. I kept practicing. Okay, so let's fast forward in life for the ventriloquism part, okay? So let's fast forward. So one day, I told this guy, right? We were having a conversation. And eBay existed already, and, the digital age was here. And I didn't think of eBay, right? Because I was thinking physical store. And I had looked, even in the mainland, in California, I looked in stores, and I couldn't find anything but the toy ventriloquism figures, right? And I didn't want a toy, right? I wanted the real deal. And so we're having a conversation with this guy, and he goes, you can do ventriloquism? I go, yeah, well, I learned the basics. I need to get better, but I don't have a figure. And the guy goes, dude, just go on eBay. They have everything on eBay. I went on eBay, got a figure, named him after my grandfather, right? So when you look online, all you got to do is just Google Junior Kekuewa Jr. and Kyoki, and it'll pop up. Pictures will pop up, videos will pop up, you know, all of that, right? Now, of course, when I started out, I sucked. I mean, really, it was terrible. It was terrible. And this guy, one of these guys, was really, really nice to me. In fact, he was the only guy who showed up for my surprise birthday party I had one year. Yeah. Oh man, that was funny. He came, you know, and he also came when my best friend had cancer to his party, and he was like the real deal, you know. And I have so much respect for this guy, right? And he put me on his TV show, and here I am, you know, attempting my ventriloquism, you know, whatever. And then years down the road, you know, he tells me, he goes, "Man, you really got better with the ventriloquism," because I sucked when I started, right? It was terrible. Okay, but this is how human beings are. A human being becomes what they practice. I don't care what it is. Human beings become what they practice. I do this in my life coaching. I do this in my vocal training. I do this in everything with people, and I explain the process. Okay? And all you got to do, it starts with visualization. You have to see yourself there. Okay? Now, back to the follow your road part. Okay? Follow me, Hawaiians. Here we go. Okay? We're back on the road. All right. So, anyway, but there's so many things like this that happen in my life that I go, yeah, I want to do that. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I want to do that. Right? And then I saw this show way back in the day. It was called Copycats. And it was about these impressionists, right? And they were doing different voices. And this was like maybe, I want to say intermediate school, right? But earlier I found out that I could talk like the cartoons, like when I was a little kid. I was like 10 years old, I think, 9, 10 years old, somewhere around there. And I started mimicking the cartoons back and forth, right? And so I knew I could do other voices. So then I started, you know, practicing, right? I did my high school principal. I scared the crap out of the guys in the bathroom smoking cigarettes all the time, right? I walk in the bathroom and you know, and they thought it was him. And they, of course, you know, there's a couple of times I almost got punched out because they flushed their cigarettes, right? But, but anyway, but that kind of stuff, right? That kind of stuff happened. Okay. So in my heart, right? In my heart of hearts, I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to play music. I wanted to do all of that. Okay. But I did not have, there were a lot of things I did not have. Okay. I did not have the looks. No, I know you guys see the posters and stuff like that. No, I was huge. I was like 200. I think I was like a steady 240, 250 around there. And so that had that go away, right? All of these things had, and you know, that's another podcast, okay? That's another podcast, okay? But I had to make some drastic changes in order to get to the point where I could live my dream, okay? And the dream happened. Everything happened. It didn't happen the way I thought it would happen. It didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen, but it happened. And I got to experience that. I got to experience the, you know, on a very small scale, right? The things I saw on TV, it all happened to me. The whole thing. I was guests on, I was a guest on other people's shows. I did all kinds of stuff, like all this entertainment stuff. It all came. And the law of attraction did all of that because that's what I had in my head, right? Okay, so you have to follow your road. If you think like, okay, yeah, this is silly. Yeah, I have this dream, but yeah, it's kind of silly. Then you're never going to get there. You're never going to experience it. Okay. But I will tell you that I have entertained some pretty wild thoughts. Okay. Some pretty, like that 1,000,000 to 1 shot with the ventriloquism. That was a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. And it happened. And then we started doing it like on the regular. You know, at every show, ventriloquism was part of the act, right? And the funny thing about that, another side note I need to add about the ventriloquism thing, I thought it was so weird and so different. Okay, it hit different. When I did the ventriloquism stuff, right? The audience, the adults in the audience, I mean, you know, you would think the kids would be like, wow, like that. No, the audience stopped. Like the adults would stop, and you could hear a pin drop in the auditorium or the wherever, the banquet hall, wherever we did our shows, right? Sometimes we did it in a hotel, sometimes in a rec center. What they would stop and stare and try to figure this thing out. Okay, what it really is it's an illusion. It's like a magic trick. It's an illusion. Okay, so you're not really throwing your voice into the dummy. It's not really coming out of the dummy, but we have a microphone set up right in front of the dummy, right? It's an illusion. Okay. So I had to perfect this illusion, and I wasn't like national caliber. Like I couldn't compete with the guys, that you see on national TV, like Jeff Dunham and those. I mean, that he's like full on, and that's what he does. And that's all he does, and he does that one thing better than anybody, and like that, right? But I just want to try, right? I want to do this thing. And I did it, and I was shocked when the adults were like mesmerized, right? I was like, well, these are adults. Like if somebody did that when I was a kid and I saw it, right? I just thought it was cool. And when I saw my friend do it on TV, I was like, wow, he got on TV for that? Like, that's cool. Like, if I do that, I can get on TV too. Like people clap for me too, right? Like chicks would be like, that never happened with the ventriloquism, but it happened with the music. Okay. It happened with the songs and the singing and all of that. But those are the ideas, the crazy 1,000,000 to 1 shot ideas I had. Now, of course, it came to a point where God opened the door and he goes, here you go, boy, right here. Right. Now, when he opened the door, I had no idea. And like I said before on the podcast, right? It took 3 days. It took 3 days to sink in that, hey, this is now. This is when you got to do this. You got to sing for your life now. And that's the idea that I got in my head. Sing for your life. Because I was singing on the radio, and I was not a good singer. I don't think, in my own humble opinion, I was never a good singer until I hit like mid-40s, okay? And this whole thing that catapulted me into this, that made it possible for me to do all this stuff, right, happened right around 40. So I was still really sucky with my singing. I thought I sucked. Some people thought I was good. I think I gave them that illusion because I put a lot of energy into what I was doing, right? And that's another thing. When you put a lot of energy into what you do, okay, you actually become better. Okay. You know how people say like, energy flows where attention goes. So when you put a lot of energy into what you do, now I don't care if you're building a house, if you're a carpenter, I don't care what you do, but you put a lot of energy into that and you are going to get good. Okay. Because God lives in here, inside you. Okay. And you just put a lot of energy and just move forward with energy, because the universe will correspond. Okay. The universe, God, whatever you want to call that. Okay. Whatever you, higher self, whatever you call it, will correspond and start bringing whatever it is you're stepping towards to you. And the reason I know this, okay, is because I've done so many different things, right? Everybody goes, well, like the old school was like, all right, well, you specialize in this, you go to school, you be a nurse, right? And you're gonna be that nurse until you're too old to be that nurse, and then, I don't know, you get the Mahalo party, the gold watch, and go on a couple of Princess Line cruises, and then you die, or whatever, right? Okay, that wasn't me. I'm not saying it's wrong or anything like that. It just wasn't me. Okay, the other thing that you need to have is foresight. Okay, foresight is important. You need to look down the road, and if you want to say guesstimate, you have to guesstimate, okay, things. Okay, now when we look down the road, we never saw COVID coming. We never saw a huge shutdown of the entertainment industry. We never saw that. Okay, but right up until that happened, we were working, right? Thank God we fulfilled all of our contracts, and it was kind of, and I really do think this was a divine intervention for me on my end, because we ran out of contracts like right before. So in 2019, we shut down the wedding and party business, and you can go look at it online. There's a post that we did on the Junior Kekuewa Junior Roadshow, if you want to pull that up. And I thanked everybody, and this was in 2019 before COVID happened, because at that point we satisfied all our contracts, and I just wasn't feeling it anymore. Because my music partner died, right? He died. Oh boy, this is 7 years. 7 years now. He's been gone, and we did shows together. And the last show that we did together, I'll never forget that show. It was awesome. But then, after that, right? It was like half is gone already. Half of the show is gone. Half of the music is gone. Half of everything is gone, because we got together in 1984 and we said, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. And one by one, we knocked it off. And, by the time he passed away, right, I was like, it just took the fight out of me. It took the want to out of me. I still like to sing. Yeah. And I did I sang with the orchestra for a while, sang with the PBS big band for a while. That was a treat, because that was also a goal. That was a goal. And that came out of nowhere. Let me tell you, that came out of nowhere. So that's another thing, right? As long as it's in the back of your head, as long as it's something that you want to do, okay, the door will open somewhere if you're still, focused on that, right? And my thought at that time, when my best friend died, my thought at the time was like, okay, what we're going to do now? Like, what happens now, right? And it was interesting, because one guy made a comment to me, and he said, is this guy that I worked with, and he said, oh, you took it pretty well. And he's talking about my friend dying, right? And I'm like, well, like, it was a WTF moment in my brain for a while. Like, I didn't know how to react to it, and my reaction inside was like, well, because you weren't there, you didn't see what happened, right? And because just like the SAT test, right? My life is nobody's business, right? I'm not hanging out, and and I'm not gonna be on social media crying or writing stuff, whatever. I wrote a lot of things. I wrote a lot of tributes to him. I wrote a lot of things that we did and whatever. Chronicled a lot of stuff, and we did have a book. It's called Give Me a Break, and the book is still on the back burner. And the reason it's on the back burner is because I'm not done, and I'm not like retired from everything. I'm just retired from show business. I'm retired from radio. I'm retired from. I did a little bit of radio, right? And I even told this guy how it was gonna go, right? Because I knew already, because I know these guys, right? And I told him, and then he says, oh, well, don't be, what did he say? Something about, in other words, don't have a negative complex. Like, don't be negative, or what. I think he said something like, anyway, I'll think of it. But he made that comment, and inside my mind, see, I don't say much. I don't want to like ruffle feathers or, rock the boat kind of deal, right? But in my head, I'm like, dude, I know these guys. This is, here we go again, right? It's the same thing, right? And sure enough, it was the same run of the same. Okay? Humans are creatures of habit. Okay? And once you know, okay, just expect the same unless there's a drastic change in the individual. Okay? But it was the same thing. That's another podcast. That's a different podcast. But I'm just saying, I'm done with entertainment. I'm done with radio. I'm done with all this stuff. But I'm not done with other things. I'm not done with business. I'm not done with running our companies. I'm not done with those things. And so the book, needs to, we need to, do a bit more planning and writing. And I do make entries. I do sit down and write. I do sit down and do chapters, In fact, there's one book that I'm almost finished writing, and hasn't really I want to say have the motivation. I haven't had the motivation to finish yet. I think I'm about 3 or 4 chapters away from finishing that one. But that's a totally different story. in another podcast. That's a different podcast. But if you do want to go find my book, I have a book online. It's called The Universal Law of Attraction in Singing. And it's not necessarily about my method, although it is described in there. But what it's really about are the things that people have achieved as a result of becoming confident with their voice, okay, and how their voice can change them and how their voice can heal them. Okay, but you have to apply it in a certain way. And anyway, so that's online if you want to check it out, The Universal Law of Attraction in Singing. We actually have a funnel that we sell it through, so the Amazon thing is just like a placeholder, like so people Google and hey, it's on Amazon. Well, but anyway, that's another podcast. That's a marketing podcast. We're not here for marketing, but for the law of attraction, you have to know that you have this power inside of you. Now, if you're feeling sorry for yourself, I know what the guy said, victim mentality. That's what he said. Stop being the victim. I'm like, victim? Anyway, all right. So anyway, but then, if you're going to be like, negative, and you're going to always think that, okay, when you do something, it's going to end like that. There used to be a cartoon character like that, and the cartoon character would say stuff like, it'll never work, this is not gonna be good. I mean, that was a voice, the actual voice of the cartoon, and he was on on one of these cartoon shows. But if you're gonna be like that, right, it will never work, because you are going to manifest that attitude, that concept that you have in your head, like, okay, this is gonna turn out bad. Right? And then, boom, it'll turn out like that, right? Now, if it's something based upon, like, okay, so how so-and-so is going to treat you, right? And eventually you get involved with so-and-so again. Could be a girl, could be a relationship, could be a friend, could be an acquaintance, could be a business associate, whatever. But if you know that person's tendencies, and then you go back and the same thing happens again, okay, it's because they're the same. And here's the thing about human interaction, okay? When you are involved with someone that you had a prior, it could be a relationship, it could be anything, right? But someone that you had a prior dealings with, let's say it that way, prior dealings with, okay? You automatically go into the same mode that because humans are creatures of habit. All right, you go into the same mode to deal with that person. So let's say it's one of your parents, okay? Because if you always end up with the same, my grandfather was like that. I noticed that my grandfather and my mom used to have this same type of conversation or reaction, interaction, right? And it always ended up the same thing, and they repeated it over and over. So when my uncle started going to these seminars, right, he explained the whole thing out to me and stuff, and he goes, no, those are, in those days they called it tapes. I guess now you can call it programs, right? But these are programs, and you're going to deal with these people with the same program in the same way, because you've trained each other to respond. Okay, so when we do our next relationship podcast, we're going to get more deep into that. Okay, this is not that, but I'm just saying, these things are predictable, like within within a couple of inches or a couple of whatever variations. Okay, but they're very predictable. Okay, and all you have to know, right? The only skills that you have to have is observation skills. And you need a little bit of background on psychology. You need a little bit of background on body language, little bit of background, and you will see the whole thing repeat itself. You will see the whole thing repeat. Okay? Now, can you change that reaction, interaction? Sure you can. Sure you can. You can change it by reacting differently or acting differently, or you can change it by not participating at all. I mean, it just depends, right? I'm just saying. But the law of attraction will bring you what you really want to do, And at the time that I got involved in radio back in, it was like when I went to broadcasting school. it was because I saw that, like, whoa, this could be something that could get me to the stage, right? This could be an avenue that could get me around the music industry and whatever. Boy, I can't tell you what an education that was. It was an education. Eventually, it got me to the local producers. It got me around the local producers. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like everything I saw. Some of the stuff was like way over my head. I was like, I don't know if I could, I don't know if I could pull it off, right? I had doubts. Like I said, I sucked at singing until like way later, right? And so I saw all these things, right? And I even said there was this recording studio that was in this guy's garage. Like you just walk in a normal garage and you go in and boom, like a full-blown $1 million studio. Like it was awesome, right? And I used to sit there and I used to watch these guys be produced and all of that. And I worked for a record company and I got educated on, okay, how does this work? All right, this is how it works, right? And I saw how it works. And then I understood why the artists would always like talk crap about the record company, right? Because they wanted to be out there, okay? And then the record company charges all of that to their account, right? And then they don't get paid because all the money goes to pay back the record company, right? That's not a podcast, Hawaiians, but I'm just saying, it walked me through all of this. And that would have never been if I didn't go to broadcasting school. And the only reason I went there was because the only other alternative I saw was the carpet cleaning on the building that one day way back, right? And then I was like, is there anything else I can apply for in this building? And I'm like, whoa, broadcasting school. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I put it together like that. Check them, Hawaiians. There you go. Check them. There you go. Like that. I put it together like that. I'm like, wow, if I did this, yeah, man, I could do radio, music, disc jockey, music artist, record company, boom. Like I linked up all this stuff, right? And then I started having dreams, right? Like, oh, okay, I could do this, do that, whatever. It was years later that I met Brother Wayne. Years later, I met Brother Wayne, right? And when I was a kid, I'm an only child, right? When I was a kid, I wanted a big brother. Because I got bullied, and I got bullied by adults, and that's not a podcast, okay? I got bullied by adults, I got bullied by kids, I was in a bully environment. So the guys in my adulthood that tried to bully me, I'm like, oh man, here we go. I'm like I already did this already. I graduated from that college of bullying already. I passed that already. But anyway, no. So these things just started to line up. It started to line up. The door started to open. But I'm telling you, there was that $5 an hour job, a lot of them, a lot of $5 an hour jobs that you had to plow through. And if you threw in the towel and you said, oh, you know what, this is not making money, I got to go do something else. If I said that, none of this would happen. Like none of it would happen. Not the music, not anything, right? The way it did. Okay. But it may have happened another way, okay? It may have happened in the worst way. It happened in the best way for me. I didn't have to go the drug abuse route. I didn't have to go into rehab. I didn't have to be worked hard by a record company to the point where I needed to do cocaine to keep up. I didn't have to do that. Thank God, right? I thank God every day. And I thank God for my blessings, right? But you attract who you are, okay? And if you, let's say you belong on the stage, or that's your purpose, right? And you're following your road for that. It turns out that was not my purpose, right? Turns out teaching was my purpose, and now I life coach around the world. I just, I go on Zoom, and I'm in one country for a half hour. I'm in another country for another half hour. I'm in another country for another half hour. And so, but that's now, right? That wasn't then. And my purpose is teaching. So this is why I'm telling you, right? If you have that crazy idea, like my crazy idea was like, okay, I like be like Frank Sinatra. Yeah, my crazy idea was like, I like be like Don Ho. I like be like Dean Martin. I like be like Sam Kapoo. I like be like those guys that I saw. Those guys, Don Ho and Sam Kapoo were like local heroes, right? But these national guys, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Tony Bennett, all those guys, right? Those guys were like in their 40s and 50s when I was in high school, right? And Tony Bennett, God bless him, he's still going. I mean, you know, and Brother Wayne and I had an old expression, and it's called, they're still working. we had that expression, you know, and we wanted to end up like that. We didn't end up like that. It was a different deal, right? But it was the best deal. It was the best way. It panned out the very best way. And it's going to pan out for you the best way too, but you got to stay the course. You know, so if things ain't happening today, like right now, be patient, keep going. You know, if something is like you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, like for a long time after Brother Wayne passed away, I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I kept going, and pretty soon a light appeared. And that light goes, bro, you're supposed to be doing this now. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I followed the light and I kept going. See, so the whole point of this podcast is to follow your road. You gotta follow your road or you will never know. If you quit halfway and then you go try something else and then you quit that and then you're not happy with that, then you go with something else and whatever. It all depends on priorities. You gotta set your priorities. You gotta write it down. Okay, so the steps again, visualize. You gotta see how it lines up. When I saw that, you know, broadcasting school on the building, the directory, I put it all together. I stood there and I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, this could work, right? I can do this. This I can do, right? And that's what led me down the road. But it was a hard road. It was a very hard road. You know, I had to have a lot of stuff to do on the side. You know, I was a security guard. I did all crazy stuff, you know. But still, you know, the point of this whole thing is that, yeah, you got to put up with crap. Yeah, you got to start from the bottom. Yeah, you cannot be the CEO tomorrow. Yeah, you got to put in the hours. You may not have to work hard, okay? When I look back on my life, I go, you know, I really didn't work that hard. My body's not all beat up and whatever and that kind of thing. You know, I didn't really work that hard, okay? But damn, I worked long. I worked long, Hawaiian. So you may not have to work hard. So don't believe that, you know, oh, you got to work hard. You got to work. That's plantation mentality. And that's not a podcast. But I'm telling you, you may have to work long. You may have to put in the hours. And when you put in the hours, Hawaiians, don't forget to put in the energy. Because if you don't put in the energy, sorry, Hawaiians, I got to go. But yeah, you got to put in the energy, okay? The universe is all about energy. Ask any scientist, he will tell you. Ask a physicist, they will tell you energy. All right. Hey, we got to thank our sponsors, Brother Randy, Sister Jerry, Island Club and Spa in Kaka'ako, my favorite location. Yeah, right there. They're building a whole new city over there. Yeah. Also, Voice Master Family of Service Companies and AFM Hawaii Music, featuring the music of Brother Darren Chinen. Find him all over the world. He's on every platform that sells music. That's where he is. Yep. Okay, I'm going to get back to my vacation if you don't mind. Till next time, I'm Junior. Mahalo and aloha.